Hi everyone, it's Jake here from Dents and welcome back for another Paintless Dent Repair video. So today we're working on this great example of a Mercedes SLS which has several dents down the driver's side door. But using Paintless Dent Removal, I'm going to show you all the stages I took to make this door nice and straight again. So there were a couple of access issues on a couple of these dents because of the internal framework inside the door. So in the midpoint of this video, I'll be showing you inside one of these doors so you can see the construction of how they're put together, and I'll explain some of the challenges we face when trying to access dents on the backs of these panels. But for now, let's jump in to this repair. So let's pan across this door and check out all the different shapes and sizes of these dents. So dent number one here is a very small shallow dent just on the body line. Now this dent here at number 2 is probably going to be the most difficult one to remove as it goes above and below the body line. Panning across some more, we come to dent number 3, which is a single penny-sized dent just above the body line. Dent number 4 is a smaller body line dent. And dent number 5 here is a very faint line dent which should be fairly easy to remove. Now moving up to the top section of the door, just below the window, we have dent number 6, which is the largest of the round type dents. Now the next one isn't easy to see, but trust me, it is there, just in front of the door edge. This takes us up to dent number 7. So in order to get these dents out, the best and least invasive method is to go down the window aperture. So first we need to lower the window all the way down. Once this has been done, next I slide a felt back window protector down the door, ensuring that the glass is behind the metal protector on the felt back side. I then push 2 plastic wedges into the gap, opening it up enough to allow access for the tools. So the first dent I'm going to remove is this one just down from the top edge of the door. So my first choice of tool for this is this curved hook tool with a machine flat tip, which is from A1 Tools, linked down in the description. So after many attempts, I realised there was a brace behind this dent blocking access, which meant I had to opt for the glue pulling instead. I'm using some black ice tabs here with some standard black glue, and I'm choosing a tab which is similar in size to the dent. Once the glue has dried, it's time to hook up the slide hammer, give a couple of sharp pulls which will lift the dent up. Then using my alcohol solution, which is linked down in the description, I remove any glue residue from the panel. So from this view we can see that the dent has lifted up slightly but not evenly enough, and we will need to pull again. But first I need to tap down the high areas. So for the second round, I'm using the same size tab and positioning it right in the centre. Once again, I use the slide hammer to pull on the tab, and I use the alcohol solution to remove the glue from the panel. This time the dent has come up nice and high, although the dent is still uneven, so I tap down the high areas and open the dent up slightly to make the dent much more even in shape. Now I'm using a slightly smaller tab here and taking a lot of time to position it dead centre. Using the slide hammer, I pull on the tab once more, this time achieving a really nice even pull, which you can see here once the glue has been removed. This is exactly what I'm after, as this can now be slowly and carefully tapped back down again using my nylon tap down. I'm taking my time to tap this high area down carefully and evenly in order not to create any additional low areas that would need to be pulled up again with more glue pulling. As this dent was pulled out evenly and tapped back down evenly, this dent has completely gone. Well, that's one down, only 6 more to go. So seeing as I'm already working down this side of the door, it makes sense to remove this tiny dent here before we move on to the bigger dents. So I'm using the same hook tool as earlier, only this time the inner frame is not restricting my access. Being small, it only takes a couple of pushes and we're done. Time to move on to the other dents. Due to the leverage needed with my tools, I'm laying a couple of strips of tape here on the roof edge section just to prevent the handles of these tools making any marks or scratches in the paintwork. So I'm going to start with this dent right here on the body line. The tool I'm using for this is my Ultra Dent 24-inch double bend screw-on tip bar with the nylon tip. I'll leave a link in the description. So I place this bar down the gap at the top of the door and heat the panel to prevent any cracks in the paint from the pushing behind. Then using the bar, I press the nylon tip onto the back of the dent, and using some leverage, I push the low part of the dent outwards. This will obviously push up some of the areas of the metal higher than needed. So using the nylon tap down, I tap these areas back down level again. Now this dent has been pushed out, it's time to move on to the next dent. This means removing the window guard, moving it along just above this dent for tool access. This is the next dent on the list, this small penny-shaped size dent right here. So as before, I'm going to heat the area up to prevent any paint from cracking or splitting. I'm using the same bar as before with the same nylon tip. As you can see, I'm just trying to navigate the bar so I can get directly on the back of the sharp centre. Once directly behind this sharp low, I can commit to using the right amount of force to push this dent up. Again, this will mean leaving the dent slightly high, but using the nylon tap down, I can tap it down level again. I have to be very accurate with the tap downs as I don't want to push the metal back in again. So that's the first door dents dealt with, and already the door is starting to look much better. Crash bars, support beams, internal framework and side impact bars. Now they all have different names, but as a paintless dent removal technician like myself, they all create a challenge when trying to remove dents that are directly behind them. So I've got a BMW 5 Series rear door here, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to show everyone what's going on inside one of these doors. Now, instead of trying to put the camera up inside to show you what's going on, I've gone one better, and what I've done is I've cut out the internal part of the framework so you can get a really good idea of what's going on inside. So most vehicles have a side impact protection bar like this one to prevent injury to the occupants in a side impact collision. Now on most modern vehicles, the side impact protection bar runs diagonally, although on some vehicles they do run horizontally. So obviously this door is stripped out, so there's no window, no electric motor, no wiring, locks, etc. But because a lot of time we're coming in through the top here using a window guard, these components don't generally cause a problem. Now the most common obstruction for me when working on these doors is the side impact protection bar and the internal framework at the top here. Although it is worth noting that on some doors there are internal frames at the bottom and the sides of the door too. Now in this video, the first dent I attempted on the Mercedes SLS, the internal structure of that door didn't have holes like this one does. Instead, it was completely blocked. So once I put the window guard and wedges in place, and I put my hook tool down at the gap at the top of the door, there was just no way I was getting on the back of that dent. And instead, as you saw in the video, I had to resort to using the glue pulling method instead. However, all the other dents on the Mercedes SLS that fell either on the bodyline or just above the bodyline were well clear of the internal framework. So using my ultra dent screw on tip bar, I was easily able to navigate down and get directly on the back of these dents. Interestingly though, on this BMW 5 Series door, the bodyline runs along directly behind here. So trying to remove dents on this bodyline, unless they fell in this area here or directly behind these holes, would be a real struggle. Lastly, if you watched my previous video, which was an aluminium repair on a Mercedes E220, which I'll link down below, I spoke about the benefits of using aluminium, and one of those was weight reduction. Now this BMW 5 Series door here is actually made from an aluminium alloy, and to show you how light it is, I can easily lift it with one finger, which is not something I would be able to do easily with a regular mild steel door. So I hope that was some valuable information of what goes on inside these doors, but for now, let's get back to the repair. Right, time to move the window guard again and change position. I'm now placing my window guard at the far right of this door, and I'm going to move my light up into the corner here to give me the best view of this dent. Now, as I mentioned before, this is the most difficult dent on this door as it goes above and below the bodyline. So because this door is quite wide, I'm going to be using this 36-inch Ultra Dent double bend tool with a short extension and nylon tip. Now because this dent has a sharp centre, as before I need to use heat to prevent damage to the paint. So this is quite a large bar to try and get into this door, but being a long bar, it has good leverage and should make light work of pushing up the centre of this crease. Although I think I underestimated it slightly, as it's proving harder than I thought to push the centre up. I use my tap down like before to address any areas pushed up too high. Slowly I'm making progress and the dent is reducing in size after every set of pushing and tapping down. However, being such a wide door, there is quite a lot of flex in the panel, so some of the force I'm putting into this dent is lost. So I'm finding myself pushing much harder to get any movement. Because the centre of this dent is quite strong, to get the centre moving, I need to weaken it by breaking it down a bit more. I've still got a long way to go on this one, but I've at least reduced it to these two very small micro lows. Okay, so I'm switching up to my standard medium tip now to remove the micro lows so I can get this dent finished. Right, now moving along the door, we now have the last bodyline dent to remove. I'm still using my Ultra Dent screw-on tip bar here and getting my body into a suitable position to both see the dent and apply the right amount of leverage. This dent was a bit more straightforward to remove. This only needed one round of pushing and one round of tapping down. So as I do on most jobs, I always manage to spot another dent somewhere on the panel. So this one now takes the total amount of dents up to 8. So as before with the internal frame issues this high up in the panel, to remove this dent, I had to use the glue pulling. So now all these dents are removed, it's time to check out the final result. Thanks again everyone for coming along on this repair. It's a real shame to see dents on such a nice car like this, so it was an absolute pleasure restoring this car back to showroom condition without the need of any filler or paint. Well, if you liked the video, it'd be great to get a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to click the notification bell to be kept in touch with all the latest videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.